It's been a little over like a week and a half since the 2024 Oscars concluded, where everyone's eyes saw Oppenheimer take home 7 Oscars. It was a pretty good night, a lot of worthy winners, some actual decently funny bits, a dash of discourse, and in all honesty, the show moved with a decent enough pace, all things considered. But one aspect of the show and the Oscars as a whole just keeps sticking with me in particular. During the Oscars, there was a bit where Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling got on stage to introduce a special highlight reel honoring stunt performers. Now, to most of us, we see that as A, a nice gesture, and also B, promo of their upcoming movie The Fall Guy, which follows a stunt performer himself. And as I was watching this reel of stunt performers, there was a part of me in the back of my head thinking to myself, oh my gosh, they're gonna announce the inclusion of a stunt category at the Oscars after years and years of pushing for it. Oh my gosh, wow, what an amazing way to announce it. And instead, the reel ended, people clapped, we moved on, and life is pain. Now, as mentioned, it was a nice gesture. It absolutely is. But it did feel more like a thank you for what you do. We see you, we hear you, and that's it. We acknowledge your existence, but it ends there. So let's talk about the Stunt Oscar. Back in February of this year, the Academy announced a new category at the Oscars for achievement in casting that will go into effect for films released in 2025. It's been a category that's been talked about for decades, and I never really talked about it on this channel here actually, so here's my quick review of it. Thumbs up. It's the first category added to the Oscars since 2001, where they added the animated feature film Oscar. So basically what I'm saying is, this is a big deal. But of course, there's always questions that pop up with this announcement here. What determines best casting? How is the Academy gonna vote for it? Will it be like a rare find like Dominic Sessa and The Holdovers? Will it be we picked the right lead to carry us through the movie like Joaquin Phoenix and Joker? Or will it be a repeat of best ensemble / best picture like in Oppenheimer? And then there's another question that I've seen floating around, which is, well, doesn't the director have final say in casting? Why should the casting director get the Oscar instead? Now that one I don't really buy in particular, just because, you know, you take a thing like production design or costume design, it all works the same. They'll come with ideas, but the director ultimately has the final say. Then they go off and do that, and we don't complain about those Oscars now. But like, whatever, like this video isn't about litigating the casting Oscar. What I'm saying is, anytime you see the stunt Oscar brought up, I see similar questions being asked. Well, what determines best stunts? Is it fight choreography, cars, one big stunt? Who should get the award, the stunt coordinator or the actual stunt performers? And it goes on and on and on, and it's all fair questions to ask, but I guess what I'm like, my main point is, they can figure it out. I don't understand. This ain't no goddamn Rubik's Cube, okay? If you can figure out the guidelines for a casting Oscars, I am sure the smart people up in the Academy can come together and figure out a nice set of guidelines that everyone agrees with for a stunt category. And the thing is, the stunt edition at the Oscars is liked by like everybody. Everyone is on board for a stunt category. No one is outright saying, we don't want this. Some people may have questions, sure, but they're still in favor of a stunt Oscar being added. If you are someone who, for whatever reason, just does not want to see stunts recognized at the Oscars, I'm sorry, but you're a loser. I'm sorry. I don't like to be mean or hostile on this channel. I usually don't, but you suck, and I don't really want to be friends with someone like that. This is something people want. And I'm not just talking about, you know, idiots like me on the internet who just spout out into seemingly nothingness. I'm talking about actual people in the industry. Chad Stahelski, the director of the John Wick movies and a stunt performer himself, has been at the forefront of making this happen. Chris Hemsworth has talked about this openly. Tom Cruise, have you heard of him? Yes, he wants it too. And the thing about it is, it would be so damn cool to add to the ceremony. You know how the Oscars will showcase certain technical categories when they're announcing the nominees? You see a time lapse of the makeup work or the before and after of the visual effects, and it's all awesome, right? You know what would be arguably even cooler? If you saw John Wick falling down 72 flights of stairs. If you saw Tom Cruise riding his motorcycle off a cliff. And this isn't an important part, but I'm going to say it anyways. With all due respect, these are not like movies that are very obscure and little seen. Let me give a random example, okay? There's a film called Border that was nominated for Best Makeup years ago. It's a very deserving nomination, absolutely. I also don't know one person who has seen that movie. Now, what point am I trying to make? Stunts wouldn't have that problem because it is so obviously huge in front of them at the movie theater. To general audiences, sometimes things like production design or score can kind of fade into the background. That's not really exactly what they're paying attention to. Stunts? Oh, they know. Whether it's a big-ass car chase in Tenet or some of the best fight scenes ever choreographed in The Raid, it is right there in front of them. And the only reason I'm talking about this at length is because if the Academy continues to choose to be hyper-fixated on the ratings Any little bit helps. But as mentioned, these are just minute details at the end of the day that don't matter. I'm not advocating for a stunt Oscar because it may or may not help the ratings. Frankly, I don't really care. I'm not just advocating for it because these are big movies that people have seen. And I certainly am not concerned about the guidelines of the stunt Oscar and who gets what. I don't care. They'll figure it out. A stunts category needs to be added because they deserve it. That's it. People risk their life just to make audiences happy. It takes some of the most skilled professionals in the business to choreograph a simple car chase. Fight choreography takes weeks or months just to remember who and where to punch. It is some of the most difficult and underappreciated parts of filmmaking, and we all take it for granted sometimes. I know some people say like, bro, like the Oscars don't matter, and that's another video for another day. But more often times than not, recognition is a good thing. Seeing people put in the work and then get rewarded for it is something that I will not get tired of and advocate against. Stunts is some of the major draws for some big movies even this year with things like Monkey Man or The Fall Guy. And I don't need this video to be some 30-minute video essay dissertation on why stunt category needs to be added. All I'll say is stunts is something that have been in movies since before even sound was. I realize things take time, but it is way past its due date already. I just wanted to talk about that. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys next time.